Our first main topic is going to be answering the question, why isn't Casey Stoney Press, or, oh man, why isn't Casey Stoney playing Christen Press every game, a lot of minutes? What's been going on with that? I've gotten this question quite a bit across all of the platforms that we produce content on. And instead of trying to answer it, I answered this partially in a 1 minute TikTok video. Shout out to you, Natalie, if you are watching this. But I wanted to go into a way more in-depth analysis of why Christen Press might not be playing a ton at Manchester United currently, and just give a little bit more insight into that world. So let's kind of break it down. So let me start off this by saying Christen Press is a United States national treasure. She is the eighth wonder of the world. Phenomenal person, phenomenal role model, phenomenal athlete. She is one of the world class strikers in this world today, especially in the world of women's soccer. And I support her in everything she does, and I hope she succeeds. I think all of these excellent, fine athletes should succeed and will succeed, and it will always have my support as a fan. So with that in mind, there's two schools of thought we can look at for the situation that is Christen Press at Manchester United. We can look at it from a practical perspective, and we can look at it from a tactical perspective. I'm going to explore both. The practical perspective will be much shorter than the tactical perspective. So let's get into the practical perspective. So, one thing that I think a lot of people forget is that Christen Press was out for, I believe, 3 weeks pretty recently with a illness. It was a non-COVID related illness, is what it was described as. And I think she's slowly still recovering from that, if that makes sense. I don't know what illness she had. I'm guessing it wasn't very pleasant if you're out for 3 weeks from training and from games. That's not that's pretty heavy. So that begs the question: is Casey Stoney maybe just helping her get built up to that 90 minutes fitness? The reality is, it's like, okay, when you look at the amount of playing time that she's gotten, she hasn't played a full match yet. She hasn't played a full match in the WSL yet this season, to my knowledge, from the research I've done. It's like usually around the 60th minute mark is when Casey Stoney subs her off, maybe brings on Lauren James, maybe brings on Jane Ross, maybe brings on Yvonne Vusso. And that's just one of the schools I thought I had. It's like, okay, could she be building up her match fitness again? Because when you're out for that long and you got to go sprint your butt off in Casey Stoney's high press for 90 minutes, that's hard. That's so hard. I can't even play so in college when I played intramurals, I couldn't even run for 20 minutes and not be huffing puffing and want to throw up. I can't imagine running 90. Like, wow, that is hard. That is hard work for any person, any athlete. And that's hard on the body. So when you're recovering from an illness, that makes it doubly hard because you're not only battling your illness, you're battling your own body from trying to get tired and crapping out. So I think that this could partially be that Casey Stoney is just trying to build Christen back up into full match fitness, and also allow time for Christen to get into form. If I'll get into this a little bit more in the tactical perspective, but I don't really think Christen's been at her highest form, and that could be related to the illness that she might have had or is recovering from. So there's that as well. That's just more of the practical standpoint of things are going on as I see them. So with the practical perspective out of the way, let's kind of get into the tactical perspective. So I'm kind of backtracking a little bit here, but stick with me on this. So at the beginning of the season, Man United obviously made two huge signings in Christen Press and Tobin Heath. And in the last few weeks, Christen Press hasn't really been starting. She hasn't even been subbed on in this case. She's playing less and less. It begs the question why. I'm going to repeat this point over and over again till the end of the tactical perspective. Form is everything. If you are not in form, you probably won't play. So how does this apply to Christen Press? Well, let's break it down a little bit from a statistical perspective. Christen Press, to my knowledge, has played over 300 minutes of WSL minutes. In that time, she has scored 1 goal, had 0 assists, and 3 bookings. That's 3 yellow cards. So at this point, she's got more bookings than goals, which if you're only scoring, as a striker, if you're only scoring 1 goal in 3.5 games, no matter what team you're really playing for, to me, that's just a sign that you're not really in hot form right now. You're not the hot hand on the team. You're not in that phase of an athlete where you're like, I am just hitting everything on the sweet spot and I'm doing very, very well in every game. That's a very common concept in the world of soccer slash football, is that you're playing, you have to play the players that are on form, those who are really feeling themselves, those who are really performing to a high level. With the numbers I just laid out, you would argue that Christen Press isn't really in form right now. In over 300 minutes since she started at the club, I mean, we're talking months now. Only one goal. That's not enough to be starting really on any team or to really convince a coach that you're in form. So the reality is that Christen Press just isn't really in form right now, and therefore, should she really be playing? I would contend probably not. And here's also some additional context as to why. United, as of this morning, forgetting about the Chelsea game that took place this afternoon, United was in first. They had 29 points. They had 2 games in hand, but they were only leading the league by 3 points ahead of Chelsea, who have 3 games in hand. So there's a lot of points that Chelsea could make ground on, and Chelsea has been on fire lately. So the top of the table is really, really tight. And the worst part about this for United's case is that they have, out of the top 4 teams right now, the worst goal differential. They only have 19, which I know only 19. Yeah, that's really good for any team, but it's just other teams are doing it even better. Chelsea right now is at 29 goal difference. City is at 27. Arsenal's at 30. So if at the end of the season, you're tied on points, and the way things are going at United right now, they probably won't win the league on goal difference. So you have to get as many points as you can. And with that in mind, every point counts. And if to get those points, you got to score goals. That's just the reality. That's just the end of the day. If any player, if any of your strikers, any of your forwards are not in form, whether or not they're Christen Press, because Christen Press has a lot of notoriety, she has proven tried and true as a forward in the world of women's soccer against the toughest competition. But if you're not performing under those types of stringent conditions where you have a lot of expectation, a lot of stakes riding on you and on the squad, you're not gonna play, because it's the manager's job at the end of the day to put the best 11 she has out on that field for the club to succeed and for the club to win trophies and titles. And as of right now, with the form that Kristen's been in, that's just not, it's just not the case for her right now. It's just not going her way right now. I'm not saying, I want to be clear about this, I am not saying Christen Press is a bad player. I'm saying quite the opposite. Like, Christen Press is one of the world's best, but the reality is she's just in a funk right now and she's not performing. Therefore, it's Casey Stoney's job to be unbiased, to be objective, and to take action. And I think that's just what she's doing, and that's why Christen Press really hasn't been playing as much. And on the other hand of that point, it seems like Casey Stoney has put in a ton of other strikers, and she seems to be experimenting. She mainly seems to be putting in Lauren James. Now, I've got to give full credit to Lauren James in these last few games. I did not rate Lauren James very highly at the beginning of the season. I thought she was wasteful. I didn't think she showed a ton of promise. She has proven me wrong, like the last 3 weeks. It's been a very awesome experience to see, because, like I said, I want all these players to succeed. But Lauren James has exercised so much creativity in that front line. She's scoring goals. She's assisting goals. She just had an assist to Leah Galton last weekend. She's making defenders miss in the midfield where it matters most. She's facilitating play. She's getting out wide. She's doing very, very well right now. So on the flip side of the coin, you've got Christen Press, who is a world-class striker who isn't really performing. But then again, you've got Lauren James, who's this young, prolific, up-and-coming talent who's been performing great. You got to go with the hot hand. You got to put in Lauren James. Where that's paid off, just last week against Chelsea, Casey Stoney makes the change from Christen Press to Lauren James. Lauren James comes on, scores within 5 minutes. And it was a worldie, too. She's maneuvering through the midfield, taking control, and scores a beautiful curler. It's like Lauren James is the hot hand right now. So that's, I think, the main area as to why Casey Stoney is not playing Christen Press. I just don't think, with her illness, with things that have been going down right now, that Christen Press is really on her best form. And at the end of the day, guys, it all comes down to form. Form is everything. And Casey Stoney, she's got a job to do. And I know, as fans, we would love to see Christen Press out there and playing, because all the joy that she brings to us as U.S. Women's National Team fans, love to see her do it and have joy for herself out for these games in the WSL. But like I said, at the end of the day, Casey Stoney's got a job to do. And some might make counter arguments to this, saying that Manchester United really don't know how to use Christen Press. I'm going to say that is a lie. That's a huge lie, and I'm going to tell you why. This is referring to Casey Stoney, who is the manager of who up until this morning was first in the WSL league table, who took the team from never existing to winning the league and the championship, taking top 5 in the WSL in her second season, and now leading the league in her third season in charge of a brand new club, growing it by and large from players that they haven't bought, and coming off 2 Manager of the Month awards in a row, and proving that she's one of the best minds in the WSL tactically. So I have a hard time believing the argument that um, Manchester United just doesn't know how to use Christen Press. I think that's garbage. I think that it's the opposite. I think they know how to use their system so well that um, I'm trying to remember exactly where I was going with that. I just don't think the reason that Christen isn't playing is that Manchester United doesn't know how to use her. That's a lie. That's just not. Well, it's not a lie. It's just I have a hard time believing that given all of the accolades that I just laid out concerning the coaching staff at Manchester United. Another thing too is that Casey Stoney is a fantastic manager in that she really deeply cares about her players. She knows how to manage the players. As a former player herself, she played for Arsenal for years, and actually quite a few clubs. I believe she ended with Liverpool by the time her career was said and done. But after Tobin Heath and Christen Press were drafted by Racing Louisville in the expansion draft, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Casey Stoney called them and checked on them and said, "Hey, are you guys doing okay?" Because the whole concept of playing rights, I don't think Casey quite understood it. But she was like, to have any of their players' rights taken away, that's got to be mentally exhausting. How are they feeling? So I believe she checked on them. So it shows you too that Casey Stoney cares. She cares about these players. She cares about the players she coaches. She cares about her club, and it's really awesome to see a manager go above and beyond that. And I just think it's fantastic from Casey Stoney's perspective. So I don't think it's that Casey Stoney and the Manchester United squad don't know how to use her, and I don't think it's that they don't care. It's just, like I said, at the end of the day, it all comes down to form. Let me dive in a little bit deeper into the point that Manchester United maybe don't know how to use Christen Press correctly. I contend that they know exactly how to use them, but let's kind of break it down a little bit. So let's look at the strengths of Christen Press. What does Christen Press do really, really well besides put smiles on all of our faces? I'm smiling ear to ear just thinking about it. But so Christen Press, she is an expert crosser from wide positions. She's proven that in her U.S. Women's National Team play. She's an excellent shooter from long way out. Most of her goals are from outside the penalty area. It's very rare that Christen Press scores directly in front of goal. She's not like a pure striker, if that makes particular sense. She's more of I'll get into that in a second. Stick with me. She can dribble out of really tough situations. I've seen her get into some situations near the corners where she dribbles out of and puts in a cross and has her teammate scored. It's amazing. Going hand in hand in that, she's really creative. She's got an excellent right foot that she can shoot with and that she can cross with. And plus, Christen Press is a speedster. It's no secret she's very, very fast. I would say she's probably, if not the second most, the third fastest player on the U.S. Women's National Team right now. Lynn Williams is definitely faster. I believe that's mathematically been proven. And you guys will love this. I take this with a grain of salt. I watched this video on YouTube from Moso Central. Their channel's pretty cool. Give it a look if you guys are curious. But that Hallie Krieger is one of the fastest footballers in the world, and she got topped out at 25 and 21.5 miles per hour. That's super fast. I have to dig deeper into the statistics and information to where they got that from to really know, but that's just a little side. Nevertheless, just remember Christen Press is really fast. So let's also establish the tendencies of Christen Press. What does she tend to do? Well, with all of those awesome strengths that she possesses, she tends to outrun her opponents. She tends to provide really great service to goal scarers from wide areas, also from corner kicks, free kicks, etc. The like. She provides really excellent assist and service from wide areas. She shoots accurately from outside the box. I'm telling you, the one goal that will always come to mind to me about Christen Press is in the She Believes Cup in 2019 when she gets the ball, I believe, from Pino, who just stole it from an English defender. Turns around, curls it into the side netting. I have never seen something so beautiful. The hearts of children smiled everywhere. Grown men like myself cried. audibly in front of everyone who was around. Luckily, no one was around. And Sebastian Salazar just roars, Christen Press, what have you done, into the night sky? And it was just absolutely fantastic. So Christen Press is a really accurate shooter and a really strong shooter from a long, long way out. And like I mentioned earlier, her last tendency, she's not typically getting on the end of crosses. You typically will not see Christen Press storm the box, storm near the keeper to head the ball into goal or score those tap-ins. Christen Press is usually either assisting from a long way out or scoring from a long way out. So where do those traits and where do those strengths fit onto the field? I can think of 3 places. 1, the left wing. 2, the right wing. 3, in the center forward position. The center forward to me is different than the striker because the striker plays a little bit higher toward the goalie. However, the center forward plays a little bit lower than that, which is like probably just outside the penalty area, but still a little bit higher than what a center and attacking midfielder would do. But guys, those are the 3 areas. The left wing, the right wing, center forward. Those are the 3 areas that you could probably use all those traits with and really excellently. So I've had a hard time really, and I've been watching most United games this season. I've had a really hard time picking out what exactly Casey Stoney does with their front line. I've come to this conclusion. I think, by and large, Casey Stoney deploys a false 9. For those of you who might not know what a false 9 is in football, what it essentially is that where your striker would normally be, which is really high up top near the goalie, would normally be brought down a little bit lower, almost playing behind the wings, and mainly outside the penalty area, depending on where you start your formation. But you're basically taking the striker and you're just moving it a little bit away from goal. And usually your wingers are ahead of you. This has a few advantages because of the fact that you can facilitate more play through the midfield, and that when that center forward gets the ball, they can shoot from out there. They can get creative because they're working the midfield space, and they're not jammed up next to the central defenders or the back line. They can facilitate play to the excellent wingers, which in this case would be Lee Galton and Tobin Heath, which makes a ton of sense. And it really opens up a lot more opportunities, and it lets your wingers excel at what they do at, which if you have excellent scoring wingers, this system is perfect. And in United's case, they certainly do, because Leah Galton and Tobin Heath are like top 10 scorers in the WSL this season. Leah Galton just got into the top 5 with her goal last week. So that oh, sorry guys, I just cracked my hand. With that in mind, that puts the center forward away from goal having more, that center forward, since they're a little bit further away from goal, they have more long shot opportunities. They can get out wide if they get the ball because they can use that creative position and they're outside the penalty area. They can get out wide and cross the ball in if they need to. They can be a little bit more free roaming throughout their play, which is fantastic because that plays into Christen Press's strength of shooting from outside the penalty area and also crossing from wide areas. It's fantastic. So that's part of the reason why you actually might have seen Leah Galton and Tobin Heath score this season, because with that false 9, it puts the wingers up a little bit closer to the goal. When you're close to the goal, naturally you're going to score more, you're going to shoot more, etc. and so forth. For those of you guys who are looking for another example of this, Liverpool Football Club, the men's side, used the false 9 with Roberto Firmino, Sadio Mane, and Mo Salah if you're looking for another example. That's what I was trying to remember, and I couldn't quite remember it earlier. So, all right, so I've outlined 3 different places that Christen Press can play: left wing, right wing, center forward. So I've heard a lot of people say, okay, Christen is a winger through and through no matter what, which with the tendencies I laid out, that would make a ton of sense why Christen Press would certainly be a winger. She's fast, she's prolific, she's really excellent at crossing, she can score from a long way out. She's not really the person who's going to score inside the penalty area, she's going to score and be threatening from outside the penalty area. Makes a ton of sense, right? Well, in Casey's, and plus she's right-footed too, so in Casey's system, it would probably make a ton of sense to her to play on the left wing. Naturally, that would work because then she's got the shooting angles too. However, there's a problem. Everything comes down to form. Who's playing on the left wing for Manchester United right now? A top 5 goal scorer, just coming off of a WSL Player of the Month award, Leah Galton. Leah Galton is your left winger who's been playing out of her mind this season. She's arguably one of the best wingers in the WSL this season. So in order to make a case for Christen Press to overtake Leah Galton, Christen Press has to be in form and playing out of her mind. She's got to be playing out of her mind. She's got to be one of the best players in the WSL. With 1 goal in over 300 minutes, that's not going to do it. That's just straight up not going to do it. So And plus, full credit to Leah Galton too. Leah Galton, I love Leah Galton. I love all the Manchester United players, but with that in mind, that's not enough to overtake Leah Galton on the left wing. And from what I know about Leah Galton, I don't think she'd serve as a great center forward. That's a whole nother topic of debate. But that pretty much does it for the left wing. So we can't put Press on the left wing. It all comes down to form. So the next thought, well, if not on the left wing, how about the right wing? Well, here, Christen Press can still use her speed to outrun, take on her opponents with her creativity and dribbling. She can cross from really wide areas into the box, which she's proven time and time again she's really, really good at. But who's on the right wing? Tobin Heath. Tobin Heath, who has been arguably one of the WSL players of the year this year, world class, tried and true, proven on every big stage imaginable, is playing on your right wing, and she's been on form. She's been killing it this year. So when you've got one goal in 300 minutes against potentially one of the WSL players of the year, that's not enough evidence to overtake and play Christen Press over Tobin Heath in that spot. So that about takes care of it from for the right wing as well. The one thing I will say though, if Christen Press, and this is just another strength, since she's speedy as she is, she would do really well in the high press. But I would argue that Tobin Heath is probably the greatest high presser in the world of women's football today. So there's also that in mind. So, and I've heard some counter arguments to this lately saying, well, Tobin Heath's kind of been out as well, and that's a fair argument. Tobin Heath has been out, but when you're like I said, it all comes down to form. With the form that Christen Press has been on lately, I still think the likes of Kirsty Hansen and Ella Toon, who have been scoring, because Ella Toon just played the right wing last week and scored, and she scored more goals than Christen Press this season, proving Ella Toon and Kirsty Hansen are in higher form than Christen Press is, therefore should be playing on the right wing. So Christen Press has a lot of competition on that right wing, and with her form, she's not out competing them right now, so that takes care of the right wing. So guys, if she can't play on the left wing, I'm not saying she can't. I'm just saying follow me here. If the left wing is out and the right wing is out, and Casey Stoney's front line, where does that leave you? It leaves you in the center forward position, which to me fits absolutely perfectly. I think it fits better than the wings, to be honest with you, because here's why. From that spot, she can use her ability to maneuver through the midfield. She does a really great job at receiving balls from the midfield in wide areas at that particular area of the pitch. She can get out wide to cross the ball into who's ever open, whoever is willing to get on the end of that cross, which a lot of midfielders and Leah Galton and Tobin Heath have certainly proven to do really well at that this season. She can shoot from a long way out if she's got no other option. She's proven time by time again she's really, really super accurate with that, and she can be trusted to do those things. And she can also help Casey Stoney in her high press. Her, Galton, and Tobin Heath could just invade the entire back line. They did a really good job against this with Chelsea, where Chelsea would be throwing away the ball pretty much on every goal kick because the high press, no pun intended, was just really, really unrelenting. So there's that as well. So she fits perfect right there, and I think that's where Casey Stoney's been trying to put her. But here's the issue. Form is everything. One goal in over 300 minutes. I'm sorry, I feel like that's kind of overkill. I keep repeating that stat. But form is everything. And if you're just not performing well, the manager just likely won't put you on the team sheet, and I just think that's all what's happening here. Full credit to Lauren James, though, like I said earlier, she's been performing very, very highly. I absolutely love Christen Press. It's just right now, I think what's going to happen is Christen Press just needs time to find her form. She is a world-class player who's capable of producing some amazing goals, some amazing worldies, as we'll call them, for her clubs, and she can do some great things. It's just with, perhaps, this is speculation, perhaps with the illness, perhaps with traveling overseas, adjusting to a new league, and then on top of that, not playing very well, it's very draining, and your form just kind of suffers, at that as time goes on. So at the end of the day, guys, form is everything. And if you're not performing well, you just won't play. And that's just what's been happening here. Just Christen Press hasn't been playing at her very best. It happens to all athletes. It's very rare to run to an athlete where they'll have a season where they didn't play very well. They just had a bad day at the office. I think that's what's truly going on here. which don't fret, all of us as the fan base coming together to provide support. I'm sure that greatly helps these players, and I'm sure they appreciate it because they're fantastic people. They're fantastic role models. It's just when it comes down to a footballing perspective, at the end of the day, you've got to perform if you want to play. And Casey Stoney's got a job to do: win football matches. So if she doesn't think that Christen Press can help them right now, that's okay. She'll just have to put somebody else on the field until Christen Press can. So I think that's what Casey Stoney's been doing. And I would argue so far it's been working out pretty well because United are in the top 2 in the table in just her 3rd season in charge and the 3rd season of the club's existence. So have faith in Casey Stoney that she is doing everything she can to win games for the football club, and that she will make the best choices that she possibly can. And until then, we'll just have to be patient. We'll just have to let Christen Press recover, get back to form. She'll find that space, don't worry. It'll just take time, encouragement, and just I say time heals all wounds. I would contend that that's absolutely true. So, with encouragement and support from fans just like you, I think she will get there in no time. All right, guys, that was a pretty long segment. What do you guys make of the situation of Christen Press at Manchester United? I think she will find her form pretty soon, but feel free to let me know. Jump down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. And all to the best to Christen Press and all of my fellow Manchester United fans as we hopefully take number 1 in the WSL table this year. So, guys, I appreciate you sticking with me for that through that first main topic. Let's get into